Hello, beautiful people. It's Sindafam. Welcome to the channel. Today, we're back again with another video, and this is about Reagan's cousin who is spilling or sharing the reason why Brett Cooper left Daily Wire. We're going to be checking this together, and I also love your thoughts in the comments below. Let's check it out.
Did Brett Cooper just leave an Easter egg about why she's leaving the Daily Wire? I came across an interview on the Modern Wisdom podcast, hosted by Chris Williamson. Brett Cooper is coming on as a guest. This is before she left Daily Wire, by the way.
Why did you not do this independently? Why do this with Daily Wire? You could have, you're the star of the show.
I was very out of my element. I didn't think I could. I think, and I don't know if I'll be confident. I think I could have figured it out. Obviously, I'm a smart person. I was very, very nervous. I've changed a lot in the last 2 years, just in my confidence in speaking about culture and politics. I've gotten to understand social media a lot more. I really had no idea what I was getting into. I felt like I needed that support system. They gave me the opportunity, the resources, the team, which is great. So I think that I could have done it independently. Emotionally and confidence-wise, I was not there yet. I was still absolutely terrified.
People love a good hero versus villain story, but I think the reality of this situation is a little bit simpler than what we thought. From watching the podcast with Chris Williamson, it seems like she didn't believe in her own abilities to draw in an audience, for people to even care about what she was saying. Daily Wire swooped in, capitalized on Brett Cooper. I mean, who wouldn't? She spent that time honing her skills, strengthening her voice, building her fan base, and quietly overcame her fears. Now, at 23, she's earned the confidence to walk away from a multi-million-dollar company. And maybe it's not because of drama. Maybe it's just because she knows that she can stand on her own now. She is the talent. And I don't want to get corny, but I mean, I still see a hero versus villain story here. Just not the one that people might expect. The villain isn't the Daily Wire or Jeremy. It's Brett's own fear and uncertainty about her own abilities. The hero is the Brett that we see today. Woman who faced trials, overcame self-doubt, emerged strong enough to bet on herself. That's a hero's journey worth telling, in my opinion.
If you follow any conservative media at all, you know some of the biggest news right now is that Brett Cooper left her show on the Daily Wire, the comment section, with Brett Cooper. His friend and producer Reagan Conrad was offered a price that she couldn't refuse to take over the show. Well, the Daily Wire replaced Brett Cooper with her best friend on the show that Brett literally built for the Daily Wire. And I'm hoping that the Daily Wire is realizing that you can't just replace people, because since the news broke that Brett was leaving, the channel has lost 90,000 subscribers. And I believe it's been a week, maybe not even. The news broke. From Tuesday to Monday, they lost 90,000 subscribers on the channel. So obviously things felt a little off after Candace Owens was fired. I started to suspect that things were getting a little bit toxic over at the Daily Wire, and I figured they'd actually be coming for Brett next. There's rumors that they gave Reagan acting classes to copy Brett's mannerisms, because they know that Brett is the one that people like to watch. They know it's not going to be a smooth transition. Had the Daily Wire maybe rotated hosts from the start on the comment section, I could maybe believe that it was a show that could just be hosted by anyone, hence the name, the comment section with Brett Cooper. It's pretty clear that those loyal to Brett are not on board for that, and her own personal YouTube channel has 247,000 subscribers in the last week, and she hasn't posted a thing yet. So it's pretty clear that people are loyal to the talent and not the show. So I just hope Daily Wire sees that they made a huge mistake.
Over the past week or so, I've watched the internet completely rip my cousin to shreds over something that is the furthest thing from her fault. And I've watched the one person who should have been in her corner and could have changed the narrative sit back and stay completely silent. So I, for one, am not going to stay silent, and I'm about to tell you exactly what happened. I suggest that you listen to this video, and in fact, even share this around, because this needs to be spoken about and Reagan's name needs to be cleared. I'm Riley Conrad, and my cousin is Reagan Conrad, who works for the Daily Wire and is the current host of the comments section on YouTube. The previous host was Brett Cooper. If you're unaware, the internet, especially Brett Cooper stans, have been up in arms over the fact that Brett Cooper recently decided to leave. There's been a lot of speculation over what happened, why did Brett leave. The speculation unfortunately turned into rumors, and then the rumors were taken and ran with. And then my cousin just began to get hated on. And it's actually crazy the things that people are saying. And I want to set the record straight, because unfortunately, while Reagan and Brett were best friends, Brett has just sat back and watched this happen to Reagan. And in fact, she removed all of her posts with Reagan on Instagram and eventually unfollowed her too, which obviously made the internet even more skeptical of Reagan. And it's just plain wrong, because Reagan has done absolutely nothing but support Brett her entire career at the Daily Wire so far. It's rubbing me the wrong way. I'm about to talk. Here's what really happened. Brett chooses to leave over reasons that legally I don't believe I am allowed to say, so I'm not going to touch on them. And honestly, that's Brett's story. But moral of the story, Brett decided to leave. 100% Brett's decision. And Brett said that herself, although people aren't believing that. I do understand the circumstances are a little weird, but Brett chose to leave. That is what you need to know. and the rest of the story I'm about to tell you. So here's where Reagan's part comes in. Reagan was the producer of the comments section. Like I said, they were best friends. So whenever Brett decides to leave, Brett recommends to the Daily Wire that Reagan step in and be the substitute host for a period of time. So Reagan, with her friend's blessing, decides that she is going to do this, and she loved it. Reagan has always loved the Daily Wire. While Brett decided to step away, Reagan has always really enjoyed her time there, and I personally have witnessed how much Reagan loves to do research on Republican media. She loves all things Republican news. So this was perfect for her. I've watched her grow and flourish with the Daily Wire, and she has literally just stepped into each position full force, and she absolutely loved her time being able to be the substitute host. However, that being said, Reagan wanted them to continue searching for other hosts that could actually step in full-time. So she's the substitute host while they're doing this search, and they decided they didn't like any of the other host options. They wanted Reagan. So the Daily Wire reaches out and offers the position to Reagan. Now Reagan is stuck between a rock and a hard place. Brett has told Reagan that she wants Reagan to come with her, to leave the Daily Wire with her. And she told her that she could be her producer. However, that being said, it would be months before Brett knew of what she wanted Reagan to exactly be doing. It would be months until Reagan got paid by Brett. And also, Reagan would not be getting as much pay from Brett, that's for sure. The Daily Wire is able to pay her a great sum of money. Brett wouldn't be able to pay her quite as much. While Brett is doing quite well for herself, it wouldn't be able to be quite as much. So Reagan would be taking a significant pay cut. Now, my cousin is doing fantastic in life, but I don't know about you, most people cannot just take several months off of work and then also take a massive pay cut when they have expenses. So, all of that considered, along with the fact that Reagan loves what she's doing, she believes in the Daily Wire, and she really enjoys being in front of the camera. She loves it. You can watch, guys. Like, everybody's accusing her of having acting classes. I can tell you, that is how Reagan's always been. That's how she's always spoken. Yes, maybe they have some of the same mannerisms. They've been best friends. Who of you has a best friend and doesn't start kind of talking like them? You usually have the same lingo. So the acting classes, rumor, it's just that. It's a rumor. Reagan has never had acting classes. She literally just does speak that way. That's how she is. Anyways, you can tell she loves it. She loves being in front of the camera. So she decides, even though she's between a rock and a hard place and does not want to offend Brett, she decides to take the position because she's meant for it, guys. I don't know how to explain to you. I've watched Reagan grow over the course of her time there, and she used to be so afraid to speak up about her views. She actually came to me at one point when I was starting to do social media, and I was always talking about being a Republican and talking about my views. She came to me and said, Rye, how do you do that? Like, how do you unashamedly talk about your views and not worry about offending people? And I was just like, you can't worry about it. Like, you gotta be true to yourself. She grew from that over the course of the Daily Wire, being able to completely speak up about her feelings, speak up about what she knows, and be such a solid voice for Republicans, especially young female Republicans. She is a huge voice and makes a massive impact. Even as producer, she was doing that behind the scenes. She was doing that on her Instagram stories. So those of you accusing her of just stealing this role, she's meant for it. You just haven't given her a chance. So Thanksgiving comes around, and Reagan is dealing with this, do I take it, do I not? She wanted to take it so badly, but you should have seen us in the basement of my grandparents' house, her being an emotional wreck, not wanting to upset Brett. That was her only concern. And I said, take away Brett's feelings, what would you do? And she said, I would take it. I would love to take it. But if you include Brett's feelings, she didn't want to hurt her friend. But, that being said, her friend decided to step away. It's different if Reagan shoved her out. It's different if the Daily Wire forced her away. But she didn't. Brett chose to leave, and there was this open position that was then presented to Reagan as, do you want this? After multiple weeks of searching for somebody else. So, Reagan takes the position. And I said to Reagan, if Brett is a true friend, she will still be in your corner. If she is not, then she was never a true friend to begin with. I can understand Brett being hurt. I can understand Brett wanting Reagan to follow in a way, but Reagan is her own person, and she is meant for this role. You can't force people to do what you want them to do, and then if they don't do it, stop being their friend. So I was hoping in good faith from what I had seen of Brett that Brett would make the right decision and still support Reagan. Well, here's what happened. So obviously Brett puts out that video about stepping away from the Daily Wire and Reagan's going to be a great host, blah, blah, blah. That's all she said. Fair enough. Well, then Brett decides to remove all of the posts on her social media with Reagan. And I was like, that's low. But okay, maybe she's just trying to support Reagan. Maybe she's trying to not let her be in the limelight and not let people find her social media so that she doesn't get hated on. I don't know. Well, then Brett completely unfollows Reagan off of Instagram. Messed up if you ask me. Because Reagan always was supporting Brett. Reagan loved Brett, still loves Brett. To be honest with you, the way that she still is so forgiving of this girl is really incredible, because I would have said screw you after all of the things that Brett has now done. But she's still so loving towards Brett, and in fact has several times on YouTube already in Reagan's first few episodes very vocally supported Brett. She always supported Brett whenever she did the show, and she was so vocal about the fact that Brett was talented and Brett was a genius and blah, blah, blah. So I was very much hoping that whenever the tables turned and Reagan stepped into the position that Brett would do the same. Well, instead, since Reagan did not come along with Brett and leave the Daily Wire for Brett, Brett has completely turned on her and allowed the hate to happen, even though Reagan was offered the position fairly and Brett chose to step away. She's allowed the hate to spew and has not come forward and tried to clear Reagan's name, even slightly. So, it's sure, do I think the Daily Wire could have handled this differently and started a new show? Sure. But the show was never owned by Brett. It was never Brett's show. It's the Daily Wire's show, hosted by Brett. There was actually a host before Brett, although a lot of people don't know that. So, while do I think the Daily Wire could have done things differently and given a little more room for, I don't know, grieving of Brett leaving? Sure. But the moral of the story is that Reagan's not at fault even slightly, and the internet is disgusting towards Reagan right now, and it's also disgusting how Brett has handled this because she's just fostered hate towards Reagan, and Reagan has said nothing but support for Brett. So please go subscribe to the comments section on YouTube, and please show your support for Reagan in the comments because this girl needs love done. It is horrible to see the hate that's come towards her, and I'm not going to stand for it anymore.
Okay, here's just what I'm gonna say. If you are my best friend and a position came up after I'm leaving or while I'm leaving, and I said, okay, they should give you a chance and all that, it doesn't mean that you should take it. It's just common sense. And you, if you really want to take it or take a job position other than being a producer and all that, it would have been, oh, let them create another one for me. Because, I mean, we get it, you love or you want to share your voice and all that. You might as well just say, okay, can they create another position for you or another show for you where you can have your voice? And for her having a voice, I really do not care. But the fact that she thought or want to step in to be the host in this one or on this one, I mean, you should also remember, yeah, you're thinking about the finances and all that and the pay. But again, also remember that you need your voice if you really want to talk about something that you really care so much. You really need your voice and not to take up a position that was once held by somebody you love or somebody you care about. But again, who knows the reason why Brett Cooper left? Obviously, me, I'm gonna say that maybe she left because she wanted to create something different from this and she wanted to be independent. So I found this post on Reddit and this says I know what actually happened between Brett and Reagan. Posting here just as I posted a long comment in a different thread. If a mod would like to reach out to confirm I know what I'm talking about, I will provide evidence. I know Brett. I know Reagan and know all of the players at the Daily Wire. The public has no idea how much of a dumpster fire that company is, and that largely due to their insane contracts, which put the fear of the God King in everyone. Brett did not leave because of Ben Shapiro. She also was not fired over anything to do with Israel, and her leaving has nothing to do with Candace Owens. Reading all of these rumors is frustrating. It is true that Brett wanted to leave for very good reasons. It was not about money but management. Her best friend Reagan encouraged her to leave and supported her, as her cousin accurately states. Was also supportive and encouraging that she fully planned to live with her. That's about all her cousin gets right. Yet, Brett offered to pay her what she could reasonably afford, but it is such a lie to imply Brett did not want to pay her for months. The truth is that Daily Wire has insane non-competes for every single employee. Take your time to read through Glassdoor reviews of the company stretching back years. Management is monstrous. Long story short, Brett Cooper and Brett and Reagan were going to start her new show when it was legally allowed. Reagan was best hype woman in all of this planning. Jeremy has a god complex, and I'm so tempted to publish the email he sent around to the email regarding Brett, which proves that he believes he creates talent and makes them famous, and he can do this with anyone. He also believes if talent tries to leave or disobey, he can just easily destroy them. Wow. One day Reagan comes to all of us bursting with tears, claiming that Jeremy brought her into office and told her he wanted her to fill in for Brett. She painted this as though Jeremy was doing this purely to torture Brett, which was believable. Reagan was Brett's best friend. Never in a million years did we think she was lying. She claimed she did not want to do it, but that he threatened to fire her. We all felt we all felt terrible for her. We all felt terribly for her. In retrospect, what she said makes no sense, but why on earth would we think she was a total sociopath and lying to us? She told us she told him that she would only do it for 2 weeks. Again, this is really dumb to reflect on because Why would she be telling him what she would or wouldn't do? But we believed her. 2 weeks pass and then she does a 180. She says she actually loves being in front of the camera and that God wants her to take this opportunity and that Jeremy offered her a contract worth a lot of money and promised he could make her famous. Breath was horribly Breath was horrifically stabbed. That is the truth. It is even more awful when you know the reason why Brett wanted to leave and you realize that Reagan knew those reasons and didn't because she wanted to be famous. Okay? This is the truth, and I don't really care if you guys don't believe me because I needed to get it off my chest. Edit. Just warning everybody that there is an account here that is trying to debunk and claim I'm lying. Just examine the post history of that account, and that is a friend of Jeremy Boring who is issuing legal threats to people for speaking about this topic. Here is another post on Reddit. This says, I think this is what happened based on the video of Riley. In the video of Riley, it was being apparent that Reagan and Beth had some kind of conversation and or agreement on leaving the Daily Wire together, which is kind of a dumb move to expose that fact. We can assume that this conversation was brought up because Brett left, based on the video of Riley and what she said. What if Brett confided in Reagan about the disagreement and contract negotiation with the Daily Wire, and they had a conversation about Brett's future, where she encouraged Brett to leave the comment section and the Daily Wire and start her own channel, that she would come with her. This, of course, before Reagan was offered anything. So maybe they had an agreement, and while Brett was taking care of her departure and how to turn and had turned in her notice with the Daily Wire, so to speak. Reagan took over a couple of times while Brett still thought their exit plan was still in the works. But shortly after that was offered the job, that would mean that she quit the comment section with the encouragement of her own friend and the promise that she would come with and leave the Daily Wire hanging for what they've done to Brett. I think this would 100% explain the reaction of Brett if it went down like that. That's why the rumor started that she was forced out, but also that it was her. That's why the rumor started that she was forced out, but also that it was her own decision. I think she may have confided in Reagan about what the Daily Wire was doing to her. She encouraged her to leave and join her, maybe telling her, "You can do it without the Daily Wire. I believe in you. I'll join you. Don't sign the new contract, Brett. They are screwing you over, etc." And then quickly after she decided to leave, took over the show. The betrayal and loss you feel when you were persuaded to do something you may not have done or would have done differently. If it wasn't for a friend's encouragement, let that sink in. I think this is what happened. Like we said before covering this or since covering this, I believe lots of things happened behind the scenes. Nobody truly knows. And since Beth is assigned NDA and all that, she may not spill or may not want to share, but she's just gonna do so well. If it was a friend that encouraged her and later stabbed her, taking over a show, then it's quite interesting. But again, for me, I'll just say the friend should have maybe encouraged or talked to the CEO or the boss for her to have her separate show or have her show. But again, let me know what you think, obviously, regarding this.